Okay, we're talking about finite and infinite number sets. So there are some definitions for you to copy down. If you need to, feel free to pause the video. Finite are numbers that have a beginning and an ending. Finite means beginning, ending. Infinite means it never ends. To infinity and beyond is kind of a ridiculous saying of Buzz Lightyear because you can't go beyond infinity. Infinity never ends. So, infinite never ends, finite begins or ends. I'm sorry, begins and ends. This little E thing right here, that means belongs to. So right here we have X belongs to the set of numbers that are whole and in between 0 and 10. So this has a beginning. The beginning is 0. And it has an end. The end is 10. So this would be finite. This would be a finite number set. Okay? So now we're simply going to look at these sets of numbers. The big thing is, does it have a beginning? Does it have an end? If you see a number at the beginning of the set, that means it has a beginning. If you see a number at the end, that means it has an end. So, this is finite. Has a beginning, has an ending. Even numbers. Do even numbers stop? Nope. They go on forever and ever. So they are infinite. This set has a beginning, has an ending, so it's finite. Days of the year in which the sun shines. Does a year have a beginning? Yes, January 1st. Does it have an ending? Yes, December 31st. So, the sun shines every day, whether you can see it because of cloud cover or not. So this will be finite because it has a beginning and an ending. This has a beginning, -20, but the ... means it never ends. ... means never ends, so it is infinite. Again, it has an ending. Number 6 has an ending. However, it doesn't have a beginning. Infinite. Number 7 does not have an ending. ... means no ending. Okay. Whole numbers. This is where you have to understand your number classification. Whole numbers are positive numbers and 0. This right here says, anytime you see this, it just means numbers between 0 and 10. Whole numbers between 0 and 10. Whole numbers are not decimals. So this is finite. It has a beginning 0. It has an ending 10. Real numbers. Real numbers are always infinite unless you have an equal sign. Real numbers are always infinite unless you have an equal sign. We have an equal sign there. Equal sign is finite. Real numbers that are less than, where x plus 4 is less than 12, real numbers are always infinite unless you have an equal sign. Again, real numbers, no equal sign, infinite. Now, this says real numbers between 0 and 1, and you're probably thinking to yourself, wait a minute, that is a beginning 0 and that is an ending 1. However, real numbers are decimals. There is an infinite number of decimals between 0 and 1. Because we can have 0.1, 0.12, 0.123. Decimals go on forever and ever. So in between 0 and 1, there's an infinite number of decimals. Real numbers are always infinite unless you see an equal sign. Integers, this says less than. It goes the same way as an L. So this says integers less than 1. Well, integers are positive numbers, negative numbers, and 0. How many negative numbers are less than 1? That's right, infinite. There's an infinite number of numbers less than 1. Natural numbers less than 100. Where do natural numbers start? I hope you said 1 because they're counting numbers. And this says ends at 100. Do you have a beginning? Yeah, 1. Do you have an ending? Less than 100. That's 99. That means this is finite. Okay? Irrational numbers are always infinite unless you have an equal sign. So, real, rational, irrational are always infinite unless you have an equal sign. Number of cell phones in the U.S., that sounds like a big number, and it is, but it is finite. If there were an infinite number of cell phones, that means cell phones would just be appearing out of nowhere for no reason. Cell phones are made. There's a finite number of them. So let's quickly jot something down. Real, rational, irrational, always infinite, unless you see an equal sign. Always infinite unless you see an equal sign. And here, I'm going to do this. Always infinite unless you see an equal sign. Please write that down and memorize it. Real, rational, irrational. Always infinite unless you see an equal sign. Okay, whole numbers less than 100. What are whole numbers? Less than 10. Whole numbers are 0 and positive numbers. So, do whole numbers have a beginning? Yes, 0. Does this set have an ending? Yes, 10. Finite. Whole numbers greater than 10. See, this does not go the way of the L. So this is greater than. How many whole numbers are bigger than 10? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Am I ever going to stop? Nope. So this is infinite. Dot, dot, dot. All these numbers, dot, dot, dot. That means infinite. Okay, now I need to pick out a finite set. Real numbers are always infinite unless you see an equal sign. Do you see an equal sign? Nope. That means this is infinite, not finite. Natural numbers bigger than 1. That's infinite. There's an infinite number of numbers bigger than 1. Rational are always infinite unless you see an equal sign. There's no equal sign there. That means D has to be the right answer. So I just go through and find what they're looking for. Infinite, that means never ending. Whole numbers between 0 and 10. Do whole numbers include decimals? Nope. If they don't include decimals, between 0 and 10 is finite. Not the answer. Natural numbers are not decimals. Natural numbers between 0 and 10. That's finite, not infinite. Irrational numbers. Irrational is always infinite unless you see an equal sign. Do you see an equal sign? Infinite. Let's just check the last one. Integers. Are integers decimals? Nope. Integers between 0 and 10 is finite. This is where the problem with this comes in. You have to understand classification of numbers to do good on this part. Okay, I am not going to continue going through with these. You should understand this by now. If you don't, please come in and ask. Thank you. Have a great day.